So I'm about to do something I've never done before, and that is to make fermented feed for the pigs. I've seen it done before by friends. So Amy, who's based down in Tiverton, southwest somewhere, southwest of England, and she does fermented feed for her pigs, and I've seen sort of videos of her doing it. I've seen her pigs and they look well, and I'm gonna try it myself. Now, a bit apprehensive as how it's going to turn out, but there's any way to find out. In that bin behind me, there's normally compound feed, which is feed that's been processed in a mill, mixed up like a complete feed for the pigs. It's got everything they need in there. But now it's got rape meal, and I'm going to put wheat, barley, some beans, and rape meal in this container here, which I've just cut up. Yeah, cutting this thing was not straightforward because I could have done it with a grinder much quicker, but I didn't have a grinder. So I found this rusty old saw and I just started with ours. As you can see, there's a lot of movement, taking the jacket off because I was too hot, switching left, right. But I got it done in the end and it did the job. The lid comes off. Look at that. That's probably one of the best DIY bits I've done. I'm getting better. Yeah, so I'm gonna put it in there, fill it with water, leave it 24 hours till tomorrow, and then I'll drain the water and feed it to the pigs. So this is whole wheat, whole barley, beans, and rape meal, rape meal extract, which is a byproduct of the extraction of rapeseed oil, and that's come from a company based in Kent called Duffields, which is where I used to work, a feed company. The wheat, the barley, and beans are literally that way. I don't know, I had to check. 3 miles from here. Wheat and barley grown by a fellow tenant and friend James, and the beans have been grown by a fellow tenant and friend Richard, 3 miles away from here. So when sort of you hear on the news or talk about net zero, all these things about carbon, blah blah blah, as a farmer, I'm trying my best to reduce my emissions on the farm, or my ill effects to the environment. But then it gets to a point where the animals need to go to the abattoir, but there's not enough abattoirs close to me, so I've got to drive an hour and a half away to go to an abattoir. So it's all well and good us as farmers doing all we're doing on the farm to improve sort of our impact on the environment or farm in better ways. When it comes to taking animals to slaughter, it's just gone. And I think that's something the government can help us in doing by funding or supporting small abattoirs, so there's more abattoirs in local areas, so animals haven't got to travel that long a distance to get slaughtered, and also the use of fuel, etc. So yeah, hopefully in future they'll listen and they'll do something about it. But let's see how this mix goes. So here we have the ingredients. I feel like I'm in a kitchen. So that's the wheat there. This is a barley. See, those that don't know the difference. To the feel, barley is much lighter than wheat. It's also a bit of a pointier grain compared to the wheat. Wheat's a bit more rounded. Listen to me talking like I know what I'm talking about. More wheat there. Field beans. Yeah, these are beans for animals. You couldn't make a curry with these. Actually, I don't know what they taste like, but I'm not willing to try them. And then we've got some rape meal extract there. Just it's mixed consistency actually, because some of it sometimes it comes in chunks like that. You can see the black sort of husks of the seed there, because rape seed is a sort of black little seed. And I've got a few I think is that oat feed. I think maybe oat feed pellets or wheat feed pellets, I don't know, but I don't mind. Extra for the mix. So I'm gonna go 2 parts wheat, 1 part barley, and then I think I'm gonna go probably about half beans and half rape and see how I go. Like I said, I've never done this before. I'm just trying it, see where we go with it. As I look back on this, one thing I'll change next time is putting the feed in smaller portions to make it easier to mix. Otherwise, you just end up with too much cereal at the bottom and nothing at the top. I might move it before I fill it up. So from the little bit I've read about this, is that where the food's getting fermented, it makes it easier for the pigs to digest. Because if you were to feed pigs like the whole wheat, whole barley, it'll be a bit harder for them to digest because some of the nutrients aren't readily available for them. So fermenting it like this, I'd say probably compare it a bit to like things like fermented foods like humans eat, like kimchi and stuff like that. So, well, nutritionists out there, if I'm saying anything wrong, please correct me. But yeah, giving them it like this. Actually, I remember feeding pigs raw beans before, and they picked around. They didn't eat it. So it'd be interesting to see what they're like with fermented, or well, yeah, essentially fermented beans. See how they eat that. But yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what's cooking in Flavian's kitchen. So we'll leave this overnight, and then tomorrow I'll drain the water, whatever water's not soaked up, and then put the feed in bags and take it to the pigs. It smells good already. And also, I think for me, like I mentioned there, sort of two farmers that I'm working with closely to try and have this sort of local, I don't know, not local economy, but this group of farmers around me that I can work with to help each other, and just to push things forward. Because like another farmer I mentioned before, Barry at Abbey Farm, he's got cows, and I'm hoping in the near future we can have his cows on the farm to graze the land that is heavily affected by worms that affect sheep, to try and break the cycle, so that next time we graze sheep there, hopefully, fingers crossed, there won't be as many worms there. So yeah, I do enjoy working with the people around me, and yeah, trying to get things forward, or things going forward. Because why should James or Richard have to look for a merchant to sell their wheat, barley or beans to, when they've got pigs 3 miles down the road which can utilize that feed? So yeah, I'm hoping if this works, we'll be doing a bit more of it in the future. So the better mixing I mentioned previously, if I put it in as layers, it would definitely save me this job. Yeah, it definitely makes me look like I'm cooking ugali or sima. Kenyans would know what that is. Other Africans call it pap or fufu, sadza. Yeah, it's essentially maize meal or maize flour cooked in hot water. And if you're cooking for many people, it looks a little bit like this in a big pot. But yeah, hopefully I don't have to do that again. Moment of truth with a fermented feed. Oh. Oh my god, panicking that hasn't worked. Oh, hello. So, smells alright. I need to take the water out and put it in buckets. I was gonna put it in bags, but I'll put it in buckets and then go feed the pigs and see what they think of it. But you can see that the beans are much softer compared to what they would have been without fermenting. That's not that soft. What is that there? The wheat as well, fairly. Break it a little bit. Alright, we'll see what they think of it. So I ended up using buckets instead of bags, because putting wet feed in bags and then having to reuse the bags, they'll go all moldy. So at least the buckets I can wash out after using. And I was a bit cautious feeding them too much, because obviously it's fermented and it's their first time, so I didn't give them too much this time around. So as you can tell, they're a bit confused. One, I'm not feeding them with a bag, and two, it's not pellets, but they'll get used to it. Pigs are always so impatient when it comes to feeding. They all want to have the food at the same time. So if you feed one group before the other, they always make a load of noise. But once you've fed them, they go quiet and all you hear is their lips smirking as they eat. After that initial turning up their snouts, we finally got the hang of it and we're slowly getting stuck in. We can hear the lips slapping together. So I reckon first fermented feed on Timeford Farm has been a success. Now let's see if they grow on it. Their dining table is full. I know I need to move them. It's been a wet few days lately, and our baby's still been in hospital, so this literally, he comes first. The farm has had to take a back seat. So once he's home, we've got 4 more paddocks along there, so I'm going to move him there. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. They're being quite selective when they're eating, which is interesting. People always think pigs just eat everything, another pregnant one. But yeah, they're quite selective. They'll pick other stuff first and then eat the others later. And it'd be interesting to see whether, because this probably isn't as nutrient dense as a compound feed, whether they need to eat more of this. But yeah, time will tell. But they are looking good. Where are the little piglets? The piglets are getting stuck in as well.